Look at this. This is what we came here for. The Moraine Lake of Europe. This is probably the most famous Instagram location in all of Europe. This is Lago di Braias, located in the Dolomites of northern Italy. So it's about 5:15 a.m. The sun's going to be rising pretty soon. Let's get the heck out there with all the camera stuff. So it's not just the lake that's super interesting here. The building is just incredible. There's actually an amazing World War II story that relates to this hotel. So now the important thing is I want to get out to the water and see what this looks like for the very first time. Birds are chirping. This place is heaven. And there it is, the infamous boathouse. So I've shot a couple of compositions, and now the real trick is shoot and move. Don't get stuck to that one spot, especially here, because as I look up, it's just really difficult to be able to find another location that is free because all the good spots seems to have been taken. Instead of getting up at 5 a.m., I should have got up at 4 a.m. Moral of the story when coming to these types of places, but there's still lots of time. The light is looking good. I'm super excited. This is just what I really hoped that it was going to be. So now I'm going to move. It's definitely a shoot and move situation. I've got so many compositions from here with the boathouse on the right hand side. And then I also did some zooming in so that I could isolate some of those boats, make them just main subjects on their own. But I have to say this place is not disappointed. It's just been one wow after another. One of the problems that I find with this type of a location, especially arriving at an iconic one, is that when you arrive, you think it's going to be easy to take a really good shot. But finding that perfect composition is no easy task. You really have to shoot and move, find the different locations. And what I've been searching for is a foreground that is unique, a foreground that will help to tell the story for the main subject. And I'm saying that the main subject in this shot is not the distant mountains, but it's that row of boats. That's what makes this so unique from Moraine Lake in the Canadian Rockies, for example. So not easy to do. I've moved up the hill that's behind the camera. I've been down here at the water level. I've been around the corner. I've been around the corner that way. So I've tried pretty much everything in order just to get something that's unique. Then the other thing that's really important to do is to get your wide angle lens off the camera. This is a 14-24. And so I threw on the 200mm zoom so that I'm able to zoom in on some of those boats and isolate the boats by themselves amongst those reflections, make the boats the main subject, and just mix it up. And then when you get home and you look at your photos, you might find the one that's the winner out of the batch. Okay, look how drastically all the light just changed. So usually landscape photographers are leaving way before the sun comes up and hits the foreground, and they're all out eating breakfast, which was what I actually wanted to do. But I stayed, and now the sun has hit the foreground, and I think it looks gorgeous. It gives it that extra sense of light and makes the boats on the water pop a little bit more, which I want them to be the main subject. So yeah, I'm keeping it. No breakfast right now. I'm gonna stay and keep shooting. Okay, so we flew halfway around the world. We drove for 5 hours. We got to the hotel at dark. We woke up at 5 in the morning. We got our shots, and now this is the first coffee in Italy. And to this I say, buongiorno.
Buongiorno.
Oh my goodness, that is so good. It really is. I'm not just saying that for the camera. So one of the things that's super interesting about this hotel where we're staying at Lago de Braios is its history during the war. So what happened at the very end of the war? There was a group of 139 VIP prisoners that the Nazis were holding. These prisoners were mostly made up of political dissidents or even German army officers who had fallen out of favor with the regime. More interesting, actually, there were about 1/3 of the 139. They were the families of Klaus von Stauffenberg, who is the guy who planted the bomb and tried to kill Hitler, and the movie Valkyrie was made about him. So this group of 139 prisoners was supposed to be taken to a concentration camp, and they were being held as kind of a hostage so that if the Americans got really close, they could be used as a bargaining chip. But the Americans were getting really close to the location where they were being held, so the SS were ordered to take these prisoners and bring them to this particular hotel at Lago de Braios. Now, I don't know if you know, but the SS, they were the fanatical ones who would obey every order no matter what. They were the real mass murderers of the regime. And they had orders that if the Americans were getting really close to these VIP prisoners, that they were to murder them all. So what's really interesting is that there was a Wehrmacht officer, and the Wehrmacht is like the regular German army. They weren't necessarily the political fanaticists like the SS were. And he heard about these orders to shoot all of the prisoners if the Americans were getting close. And he said, absolutely no way, I'm not going to let this happen. So he ordered some lower level Wehrmacht officers to drive to this place with some soldiers. And there was, according to Wikipedia, a very tense standoff between the Wehrmacht officers and the SS officers. And ultimately, the SS officers lowered their guns, the Wehrmacht took over, and the prisoners were then taken into the custody, or I should say like the protection of the Wehrmacht. The SS guys took off, and then within days, the Americans overran this location, and the Wehrmacht turned over these prisoners into the safe custody of the Americans. So it's pretty amazing, and what is really cool to me is that this particular patio that I'm sitting on, there are photos from 1945 that show all of those prisoners standing out here and even mixing and mingling with some of the German army officers. And then also other pictures that show when the Americans have arrived and the prisoners are mingling with the Americans right here at this very patio. So enough of World War II, back to photography. I've got 3 photos to show you, and I'm curious about which one you like the best. So is it photo number 1? Or is it photo number 2? Or photo number 3? Which photo you like the best? Please leave a comment below. And we are off now, leaving this beautiful place to go to the next location, which is going to be Sasida, which is a mountaintop that will blow your mind. See you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.